around 17,000 people. And the name Swift Current itself comes from the river that winds through the area across around 100 miles of grassland known as the Prairies. The Women's Worlds were in Swift Current in 2010, and they're back in 2016 at the Credit Union iPlex. This is the place to be this evening. Our live coverage of the round robin continues. And in draw 11, which is coming up, that's what they've all come into the arena for. We're featuring Japan against Sweden. And the team being honoured this evening is Korea. So let's give you the lineups this evening for Japan. The lead, Yuriki Yoshida. At second, we have Yumi Suzuki. Third player for Japan, Jinami Yoshida. And the skip, Satsuki Fujisawa. More familiar names in that Swedish lineup. Margarita Sigfridsson is the skip. Second player, Maria Wennerström. At third, Christina Bertrup. And playing the skips, stones at fourth, Maria Pritz. So those are the two lineups in our featured game. I'm Alison Walker, and alongside me tonight from New Zealand, a curler extraordinaire, Olympian Hans Fraunlob. We'll be bringing you live commentary on the whole game. A reminder of the standings. Right now, Canada and Switzerland leading the way 6-1. And right in the middle there, Denmark, United States, Korea, outside chances, and Italy still without a win in this championship. So elsewhere this evening, can Italy get that first win against Germany, I wonder? On sheet B, we have Finland against Scotland. On sheet C, it's Russia, Korea, and then our featured game on sheet D, Japan against Sweden. So lots going on this evening. Let's get a quick word with Hans. You've seen a lot of Japan of late, and I know they've just come off a defeat. How do you think they are? What kind of shape are they in?
Well, it's an interesting time in the tournament for this Japanese team, Alison. They did have a tough loss to Switzerland today, but they played really well. The Swiss just played better. They're on a 4-win, 2-loss record coming in here, so they're still in the thick of it for the playoffs. And they've done nothing but shoot well and consistently all week, so I expect them to bounce back and have a competitive game. But this Swedish side, even though they're on 5 losses uncharacteristically, they're dangerous. So this is a watch-out game for the Japanese. Yeah,
I'm sure Sweden are hurting big time. We're not used to seeing them with such a poor record at this stage. Okay then, Japan with the red stones, Sweden with the yellows. Japan get us underway. Draw 11. It's a bit of a moving day this in terms of the round robin.
Well, that's right, Alison. By the end of the night tonight, we should have a pretty good idea how the field is shaking out.
And I wonder what the pre-game team talks would have been like from the coaches. It's been a tough week for Sweden, that's for sure.
Sure it has. Enormously experienced and successful international side.
Margareta Sigfusson, known as Magan, and lead stones.
So I'm sure their coach, Fredrik Hellström, and Peja Lindholm, who's also along here with them, will be reminding them, not that they need reminding, that Olympic qualification points are on the line for Sweden, so every win matters.
Lead player for Japan, Yurika Yoshida, just 22 years old, curling for 17 of them. She must have been tiny.
Didn't know that they offered curling in kindergarten, but that's quite impressive. Likewise, Coach J.D. Lind for the Japanese team, I'm sure, will have been saying to his team, don't be dispirited about the loss. You played really well. You lost to the 2014 world champions, but it's right there for you tonight, so just bounce back and play your game.
This team silver medalist in Sochi in 2014. And there they both are, from both sides.
J.D. Lind on the left, Japanese coach. Alternate players as well. And there's Peja Lindholm in the upper right.
Yumi Suzuki, second player, 24. All these players based in Hokkaido in northern Japan. She's an office worker when she's not curling.
From the lovely wee town of Tokoro on Hokkaido.
Have you been there?
I have. I've curled in Tokoro. We had a Pacific Championships up. We're asking for a technical timeout here. Looks like we have a bit of an issue with the automatic hogline detecting stone. So brief pause here while that stone's checked. Looks okay now.
I think there's a problem with the rock.
This as well to check before it's thrown.
But I was talking with Coach Lind, and he'd mentioned that in Tokoro they've built a brand new 6-sheet curling facility. So it was, gosh, 12 years ago that I competed there, but they've got a brand new facility.
Yeah, the sport really has grown in that part of the world. I think something like 10,000 curlers throughout Japan now. Absolutely love their curling.
And the Japanese fans love their national women's team. They have a huge following. Japanese women have competed at every Winter Olympics. Haven't medaled yet, but they've come close to making the medal round a couple of times.
Yeah, they haven't been far away. It was a different team than the last one, Ayumi Ogasawara. Back underway here.
And it's a flash, so I wonder if that handle delay affected Wennerström's shot there, but regardless, a break here for the Japanese. Sweden, however, does have the last rock in this first end, having earned it through the last stone draw before the game.
For Japan too, it's about winning as many games as they can with that Olympic qualification, the points that they can gather. That's gotten a bit further than they intended as well.
Starting to set up for the force, however. Well, you're right. Coming into the week, this young Japanese team was probably thinking, we'll compete, we'll try and place as high as we can. But now you're at this funny point in the draw where you're 4-2 and mentally your expectations reset themselves.
Yeah, Maria Wennerström. from Sundsvall in Sweden. Silver in Sochi, this team.
Tsunami Yoshida. There we see the rules of play, 6 ends minimum. Each team has 38 minutes of thinking time, and they each have 1 60-second timeout where they can call their coach onto the field of play.
Here's Kristina Bertrup.
So all the play in the house this end.
A bit more about Tsunami, 24 years old. Also works in an office, lives in Kitami, in Hokkaido. Very young Japanese team against older, more established Swedish team, all with children, so that must be a huge commitment, Hans, on their time and energy in the sport.
That's absolutely right. The sport demands a lot to compete at the top level. It's a huge time commitment, and it's a big ask to be away from family.
And Kristina Bertrup has twin sons.
Nearly the double takeout. This young Japanese team, they're fun to watch. They really do operate as a unit of 4 instead of 4 individuals.
And they do seem to enjoy themselves as well.
They absolutely
I mean,
do.
it's easy to enjoy yourself when you're winning and you've had a good week, but lots of smiles from this lady in particular, Satsuki Fujisawa, the skip. She's 24. Five years on this team. And they qualified for this by winning the Pacific Championships in Almaty in Kazakhstan.
Well, that's right, and that Japanese win broke a long string of domination by either Chinese or Korean teams. So in the 1990s, Japan really dominated the region, but lost that dominance in the women's division. But finally a win again by this Japanese women's team.
Pritz, who plays the skips stones in the Swedish team. 39 years old now.
Looking to roll this across the house and close it up a bit. There's the roll. Where is it going to go? Is it on it? Or is it over the top? Oh, that's perfect. Great shot.
Nicely done from Pritz. And that will give her a lift.
So just like that, the end goes from looking like a pretty good chance for a force. Here we see on the replay, gets half of it. Now it's a question, is it going to roll across the top or is it going to have the good line? And it's perfect.
Stone for the Japanese skip.
Oh, that's a very nice stone. Japan's line 2, and now a little bit more to think about for Maria Prytz when they're trying to blank.
Just have to take a little bit of care, don't they?
Lite tajt bara när det är så långt ut. Och så går det rakt. Ja, jag tror det går riktigt rakt så här långt ut. Jag tror det curlar lite mer här inne. Ja. Ja, visst i alla fall.
So after that great hit and roll, I thought that the force was gone, but that great little hit and flop there by Fujisawa complicating things for Sweden. They could still blank, but they have to hit it really hard, just off nose on the outside. Let's see what she does.
So the last stone of this first end. And away they all go. No problem at all from Maria Prytz. Blanked first end. So the score remains the same after one. Japan 0, Sweden 0. So on to the second end, a featured game between Japan and Sweden. The score in the first end.
Well swept by the Japanese. Playing it a bit conservatively, throwing it into the rings instead of electing a center guard.
Margareta Sigfridsson. 10 years with this team. They have had a lot of success, including a silver in 2012 and 2013 at these championships. And indeed in 2002 and 2009. So
lots of visits to the second step of the podium.
So gold has eluded. Sigfridsson as a skip.
So now Fujisawa is electing the guard.
So why not the guard with the first stone?
Well, I think that's more of a probing position just to see how Sigurdsson would react and throw a corner guard.
Let's just catch up on sheet B. That's the Finland-Scotland game. First end of that. In Akausta with the last stone here.
She's facing 2. Has to hit the 8-foot to save her point. Don't really lay a brush to it, but full in the 4-foot, so 1 point for the Finns, and they open the game on top 1-0.
Well, the Japanese have looked at what's been happening with Sweden so far and had that kind of conversation, or do you just concentrate on your own play? How does that work?
I think that they'll primarily be focused on their own game. They can read the scoreboard. They wouldn't be human if they didn't know what the other team's record was, but they've impressed me this week. They go about their business, play percentage shots.
And they're getting great audience figures, I know, back in Japan. Not just because they've been successful.
Oh, misread there.
Not with that one.
Uncharacteristic. We've seen this team work magic with those brushes, getting around guards tight, but that time they wrecked. So after blanking the first, a good chance here for the Swedes. They've got a corner guard. Maybe trying to split this stone or just go straight around. Well by the guard. Comes to rest fully behind the guard. Updating another game. We've got Russia on 4-2 against Korea on 2-4. Russia already lying 2, so here's a free draw for 3 for Anna Sidorova. A chance to get off to the best possible start.
Yeah, Russia having a mixed week.
At times they've looked like world beaters, and at times it looks like they're struggling, but
this one's looking pretty good.
It's more on the world beating side of the equation.
Great start for Russia. That is 3 they have picked up in that first end. She is happy, honestly.
Russia, of course, has won the bronze medal in this event, but Anna Sidorova is determined to climb higher on the podium. So that Japanese stone creeping further forward in the house. Wennerstrom will need a little bit of a roll if she wants a piece of the rings. Maybe a piece of the rings, hard to tell. Fujisawa's taking a look. She's going to make a play on it regardless. Just going to hit this just off nose, try to double them off. Yoshida calls the sweep immediately. Now they're off it. Bit of a panic sweep there, and they jam. Out of hand, Shinami Yoshida called them on immediately. But that one needed to curl a bit more. She had big weight.
She did. Swedish bench. Roderick Hallström. He was quite a good curler in his day, wasn't he?
Anybody wearing the 3 crowns of Sweden is usually a pretty good curler. Now a terrific chance for the Swedes to drill another one in there and lie two guarded. They've got the hammer in the second.
This one's going to nestle up beside the other, but it does bump a bit.
Well, that's a pretty good shot. They're lined up well behind that guard. So a bit of a difficult choice here for the Japanese. Danger is building. They've only got 4 to come there. We see Coach J.D. Lind. He's not looking too concerned at this point.
No, he isn't. Quite laid back. I mean, he's been enjoying the week with them.
Trying the run back, but it just blows by. Exposes the shot rock, however.
Was that the right call, do you think?
Well, the only alternative there would have been to try and play something into the rings yourself, but 2 were buried great, and if you did come around and you don't get a piece of it, you're exposing yourself to a risk of a 3 or a 4. So, as it is, though, it's looking like a probable 2 and a possible 3 for the Swedes. Still have to make this guard, however, and guarding hasn't been easy on this ice.
Watching it very closely.
So that one's mid-long. Might expose a little bit on the outturn side. Maybe enough to play a little backline weight bump freeze type of a shot.
Sounds like a 3-and-1.
Well, they would love to eliminate one of these stones here, and be interesting to see if they could see enough of that stone to maybe try a double. They are pretty tight together, though, so.
You do tend to see them going for these types of shots, don't you?
Well, though, as I said, they've typically had fantastic control around the guards on downweight hits, and so they can maneuver it really close to the guards. So they do try this type of shot a lot. Not taking very much ice there, though, so. Probably a bit of weight behind this shot. Definitely is. She's trying the double. Sweeping it for the curl. Have they even got a piece? They're by the guard. 1, 2, spills. Does it go out of the rings? Just out of the rings. Double takeout there for Satsuki Fujisawa.
What a great shot. That was not as easy as it looked. Should be delighted with that. So past this guard here. All about the angles. The 2 yellows go.
Just out of the rings as well. That's a bonus.
Very well played. Team Japan. So back to plan B for Sweden.
Well, they've still got those corner guards. Very useful, and we've certainly seen Maria Pritz over her illustrious career generate more than her share of skips deuces. So a good chance here for Sweden. Both sweepers on it, though. We're pretty happy with the weight now. Very nice shot there from Pritz. So decision time now for Japan. Do you follow it down? Do you play a jump shot off of that yellow one on the tee line? Do you try to angle in that red off the top 12 foot?
What would you do?
Well, I'd love to see the angle from the hack just to see if they can see any of that stone at all, but I doubt it. I mean, Pritz was close to the guard. I doubt if there's a hole between the yellow and red in the front. Angling it in is a possibility, but a risky one. You're almost the risk of a deuce there. I'd probably be inclined to follow that stone of Pritz's down and try the angle freeze, but we can see from the broom placement there must be the smallest of gaps between those 2 guards, and it looks like she's going to try and thread the needle. There we see at the top of our screen that yellow and red guard. Looks like she's going to try and thread the needle. Tough shot.
I always say if you're feeling confident about it, you know, do it. Don't do it if you don't feel confident. And at this stage in the game, it's probably worth a try, is it?
Well, that one is certainly locked in there already, so. As long as they don't raise the yellow rock, it's not much risk. They're through the hole. Fantastic. Great shooting from Team Japan.
Big smile.
Nothing to it.
Hey.
This game's easy.
Let's take a look at how close that was. Oh my goodness.
Look how close it comes to that red guard. I think I saw a spark. Japan lies too. That's an outstanding shot. They make it look easy, but I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that was an absolute cracker.
That was a real precision shot by the Japanese skip.
So now Maria Pritz is going to be called upon again to make a saving draw.
Last stone here. There's not much you can do against that kind of play, is there?
No. That is just a delight.
So she does successfully make that. So Sweden do have a point on the board. Some great play in that end by Japan. They must be delighted with the way things are going for them. After two, Japan 0, Sweden 1. Welcome back to our live coverage of the Ford World Women's Curling Championship 2016 in the Credit Union Iplex in Swift Current, province of Saskatchewan in Canada. Great to have you with us. Hope you're enjoying the action. Alison Walker and Hans Fraunlob bringing you live commentary. And what a treat we had in this last end, Hans. It was fantastic.
Well, if this doesn't entertain you, I don't know what will. Check this out. This was the first stone by Satsuki Fujisawa. Fantastic double takeout. She could only see a sliver. But then, can you top that? Well, check this out. Just unbelievable shooting by the Japanese skip. So Sweden scored their one, but boy, oh boy, all of the entertainment value in that second end was generated by Team Japan.
It was great stuff, and I'm sure we'll see more of that. They're not afraid to try anything. No matter what Sweden do, they had an answer for it.
It'll be interesting to see how that weighs on the mind of Team Sweden as well. Things haven't really been going their way this week as we set off the top of the show. And you make some nice shots yourself. That first come around by Maria Preetz looked like, okay, 2 for sure. Then your opponent makes a pistol on you and you're thinking, what do we have to do to win this week? So about 4 feet short on the attempted freeze. It is on the rings. But now Japan again playing the percentages. Yurika Yoshida being asked to draw to the back of the 8 foot.
Always keeping a close eye on where it's going.
Yumi Suzuki trying to bring it behind the tee line if she can. Hard work.
As that settles, let's check elsewhere. That Finland-Scotland game. Finland picking up one in that first end, and now it's Eve Muirhead with the last stone.
So a nice force by the Finns. They're lying 2, forcing Muirhead to draw for 1.
Scotland on 5 and 1. Finland on 1 and 5. So the Finns could do with a win here.
Well swept by that Scottish sweeping into the 4 foot. And Scotland's tied it up after 2. Now we see Sweden 1, 2, 3 triple raise. Very, very nice. Sorry for the giggles. It's just such a fun to see outstanding execution like this.
Yeah, see the stones moving, but moving into great positions for Team Japan. Let's take another look. Look, 1, 2, 3, off they go.
So on 2 stones, the complexion of this end has changed completely. Yumi Suzuki would like to hit the front stone and just flop on top of the other one, but is this over curling? Slightly over curls. Spins back. Would have liked a little bit more contact on that front stone. So Sweden's line 1. Kristina Bertrup. Finger pointed to the sky, so I think she's going to be looking for pretty firm weight here. Trying to three-quarter this one across the face and roll it over towards that other yellow stone. What kind of roll do they get? Close it up a little bit. It's a very flat angle there, so it's pretty unrealistic to think she'd make the double, but they do bring the stones a bit closer together.
So second stone for Christina Bertrup, known as Nina. Part of that silver medal winning team in 2014 in Sochi. Oh, and that was no wonder she was doing that.
Positively operatic, but very quiet when the stone went past the other one.
And that has been happening to Sweden this week. Very uncharacteristic.
Yes, lots of flashes and very unusual. Well, they were hoping quite cheekily to be able to raise that and stay 3 shots on the rings, but
of course they were.
They'll have to settle for 2.
Certainly all about the Reds at the moment.
So once again, Maria Pritz being asked to don the superhero cape. Japan with the hammer. Rolls across the top and springs into the top 8 foot. So, good opportunity here for the Japanese if they can control the weight, hit about half on the outside with down weight and roll it to the edge of the 8 or the 12 foot and split them apart. Good chance for a 2 here.
Nothing seems to faze this Japanese team at all.
We've been lucky enough to do several of their games this week, and their demeanor never changes. It's wonderful. They want to control this roll. They need it to stay in the rings. Very nicely done. Great shot.
Yep. Great separation there. Those 2 Reds.
Early in the game, but Satsuki Fujisawa is putting on a show. Very nice shot. That roll was important because now there is no double takeout available for the Swedes. You see there that Margareta Sigfridsson says there is a hit and roll behind that stone, but they haven't got much house to roll to back there. Not if they want to stay shot anyways.
Another very difficult one for Maria Pritz.
Looking for that roll. But it's wide open, so a chance here for Japan.
That was a big ask to ask that to roll in behind, wasn't it?
I think that would be about a 2%er, Allison. So quite a similar shot to her first one. Down a similar path as well.
So here she goes, last stone of this third end. From Satsuki Fujisawa. Just to make sure of two. Get their first points on the board.
Perfect.
Which she absolutely does, no bother at all. 2 reds counting, 2 points to Japan. And 5s all round. A good end from their point of view. So after 3, it's now Japan 2, Sweden 1. So there are the numbers thus far in this our feature game between Japan and Sweden on sheet D. 2-1 to the Japanese.
So with that really nice deuce, Allison, the Japanese have arm wrestled control away from Sweden. Sweden had the hammer to open the game. But Japan with that deuce just got their noses in front. This one looks like it's skating though. Will it hang around? I don't think so.
Swept out by Maria Pritz, so that's a little bit of a mistake.
So an opportunity now for a corner guard. Sweden trying to bounce back with a deuce of their own.
Need to take advantage of that little bit of luck which has come their way. And up goes the guard.
This Japanese team is plain fearless. Going to throw up a center guard now of their own. Saying 4 or 5, so this one might be in the rings.
Yeah, we're staying well off it.
Oh, now they can sweep it.
That's probably what they were saying.
They said I can count to 10 in Japanese. So when they say ni-san, that's 2-3. If they're throwing a guard, that means it's middle guard or close to the house guard weight.
So Sigfridsson as a lead. That's our tournament accuracy. And you expect those numbers for leads anyway at this level.
I think it's all over the guard. And those center guards overlap, so double danger there for the Swedes. Missed the shot, and you've set it up for Japan. See the overlap on those two center guards. Means if the Japanese can get one behind it, there's no run back.
Yumi Suzuki, she's 83%, the second player for Japan.
Yoshida's really working this one. It's definitely not heavy.
It's going to tuck in between those other ones there, isn't it?
So those guards are accumulating. 2 attempted come-arounds, 2 wrecks. Consequence, 4 stones in front of the house.
It's becoming a very busy area.
Sigfridsson checking the angles. Sweden would like to move these guards and also retain corner guards for themselves. So that's why they're taking such a long look at the angles.
Maria Wennerström, slightly less than her opposing number at 78%. She's not had the best of weeks. Those shuffles things around a little bit.
Promotes one of the Japanese guards into the rings. So they do have their corner guards. But there's also a Japanese counter in the rings.
That on the center line.
Have we nicked something? Have we nicked something?
Matching up with the other one.
So here we go again. Rolling it to the wing. They really want this to stay in the rings, and it does, but so does the Japanese stone.
They both do.
Looks like there could be a path to the Swedish stone between those two yellow guards.
We know how good the Japanese are at finding those paths through.
Tsunami Yoshida.
91% for Yoshida throughout this tournament. What a week she's had so far.
Top of the field statistically at her position.
And that's one of the reasons why.
She makes it look easy.
Nicely played. All in a day's work.
About 3/4 of that stone available for Sweden. Kristina Bertrup.
Just wonder how confident she's feeling. Swedish third, 80% for the tournament.
Well, she jumps up immediately to help with the sweeping, so she didn't like it much when she let it go. And now you see why. Short and on the guard. So great chance here for the Japanese. They're lying too. Sweden's got the hammer, but well set up for the force and maybe a chance to set up for the steal.
You know, and I guess it's also reassessing after your opponent makes a mistake that you don't expect. You have to kind of reassess what you're going to do, don't you?
Well, that's right. Until that miss, Japan was probably thinking force, but the opportunity presents. Possible steal.
That clock you see is the hog-to-hog time.
Look for about 14.5 seconds. Well, that's light. That's about 16, so that'll probably come up short, and it does. So back-to-back uncharacteristic misses from the thirds at both teams. She wanted that one up in the top 4 foot. That's about 15 feet light. So those two yellow Swedish stones in the front of the rings, quite promotable.
Second stone for Kristina Bertrup. Misjudging her first one.
Well by, so she wasn't trying the promotion, just a straight draw. Comes to rest right on that Ford logo. Fully behind the center guard, but she did clear the guard by a reasonable margin. So Fujisawa should be able to at least draw down to it.
Yep, she'll have watched that line.
So if she freezes to the nose, it's good for a force. If she could bump it back a foot, as long as she's got good line, she wants to be fully buried before she tries to push it back. See our score, Japan leading it 2-1, but Sweden with the hammer and something going here in the fourth. Sweeping it for the curl. They need this to curl to get some contact. I'm not sure that they do. No, it goes right by. Big weight, almost hack.
That's the first mistake we've seen her make.
Yes, she points her finger in the air, acknowledging to her teammates, yep, I was heavy, sorry about that.
And they did really well to get it actually as close as they did.
So, the advantage pendulum swings right back to Sweden. There you see that Swedish stone buried behind that red center guard. They're going to try and throw another one right on top of it.
So a break here for Sweden, but can they take advantage separates, 74%. But she has had some very difficult shots to make throughout this week.
Good looking shot here. Comes to rest just on the tee line. Sweden lying 2 buried. But maybe a little over curl and possibly a pocket for Japan to freeze to. She may not get shot, but if she can freeze into that pocket, raises the possibility of a force. Only has to move it about a couple of centimeters to be shot. But to get to that backstone, she would have to flirt with that outside corner guard because it really does curl hard at the end. There we see Sweden's back-end players looking on.
So that is what they're looking at.
Okay, Janami Yoshida painting a picture for us. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of weight she's going to play. Will she play a straight freeze or enough to push that stone?
85% Fujisawa throughout the tournament. Let's see where this one finishes.
Sweeping it hard for line. They're by the guard. What kind of angle have they got on the shot rock now? They bump, they roll, they sit in front. That's a very nice shot. Sweden's still lying 1, but boy, how are they going to get 2?
They worked hard for that one, the Japanese.
Ja, man spelar den. Vill du spela en dragning någonstans eller?
Look at the sweeping here. It was past the guard.
Really hard work there from Yoshida, taking it all the way up, and they needed to. Got that little bump, little flop, cut off the access to the pin. And there we see Sweden's looking at all of these stones, lots of stones in play. Can they promote something sideways and maybe get a cheeky 2 or a crazy 3?
Is that their only?
I think they're just going to throw it away. Discretion being the better part of valor here.
Keep it as is. You don't want to end up losing your one.
So a moral victory for Team Japan. Sweden scores 1.
There you see the 3. That great stone from the Japanese. And that one shot means things are leveled up after 4. Japan 2, Sweden 2. Coming to the fifth end of this, our featured game. Lots of great action going on in the Credit Union Iplex this evening, but this is the one we're concentrating on. Japan against Sweden. And certainly even in terms of the score. 2-2, there's the numbers. But Japan playing well within themselves. And Sweden kind of having a more reactive game as opposed to a proactive game, Hans.
Well, that's right, Alison. And that's being dictated by the fine play of this Japanese team. Every time Sweden tries to land a punch, Japan seems to come up with a equally impressive counter punch and then follows up with a jab. So there we see a corner guard. So once again, game on. Japanese with the hammer. 2 guards. So we've had great entertainment in the first 4 ends of this game, and we're setting up for another good one.
It's coming round now, and behind that other centre guard.
Almost too good. Looks to have popped out the other side. Just see a corner, and that might be enough for this Japanese team. Plan B on this shot. If she tickles the front guard, she could roll it into the house herself. So that is the play. So that's like a tick shot. Moves away the center guard and rolls her own in the neighborhood of that corner guard. Here we see Satsuki Fujisawa. Late in the day, folks. Sorry about that. And sorry to you, Satsuki.
Should be fairly content with the way things have gone so far. Sweden still very much in this, and it's still fairly early days.
Yes, this game is very evenly poised. Could go either way. Sweden lies 3. Yumi Suzuki being asked to play a hit and roll. Nice shot. This Japanese women, they're tiny ladies, but boy, they generate some power on the sweeping. Excellent technique. There you see it. Yoshida.
And that was all about the angle on that stone, wasn't it? So that it would roll over to that other side.
There we see it, right behind the corner guard.
Maria Wennerström's second stone here. 10 years with this team. Maria.
Well thrown just by the guard. Very nice shot. Just clips out the Japanese stone. So Japan will try the hit and roll on a different Swedish stone. Watching it with some concern, cheering the rock onto the rings.
You're thinking, was it going to stick there or not? And it did.
Sounded a little bit like a visit by a boy band.
Well, they get a lot of enjoyment out of playing the sport, and that is absolutely fantastic to watch. It's hard not to laugh with them, really.
Just by the guard, so Sweden removes the Japanese stone, but comes short of the rings, of course, because it was nosed. So let's see what Japan does. Looks like they're going to try and attack that corner guard with a draw. Chinami Yoshida, Japanese third player. Working hard to try and get it by the guard, but it looks light. Even if they're by the guard, I think they're on the second one. So another small opportunity lost for Team Japan. Yoshida fighting her draw weight a little bit. So an interesting choice here for Sweden. Are they playing to steal or are they playing to force?
First stone of the send for Christina Bertrup.
Once again, Bertrup up quickly to join in the sweeping, so she thinks she's light. But no panic required, it's into the rings. Sweden lies 2. So yet another attempt at the hit and roll. This one has to roll about 5 feet to get behind cover.
Just the technique and the light there, you see, no problem there.
Biggish weight. Good looking roll.
Is it going to hang about? It is.
Sticks the landing. That's a great shot. Precision here from the Japanese. 5.5 foot roll and they make it look easy. There we see that red Japanese stone. No chance to play weight at this, so Maria Pritz is going to throw a draw, try to sit on top of it. They're happy with the weight. Has it got the line to get to the face of that red stone? Sweeping it high side now to try and promote the curl. Comes up alongside the Japanese stone, so Sweden lies one, but they don't get the freeze.
And that is very gettable if you're Team Japan.
There we can see from our long shot that the yellow stone, maybe a third buried, but we can see that Yoshida wants the hit and roll back to the middle. Just trying to play delicate weight. Don't want to overthrow this one. Suzuki thinks the weight's up a little bit.
I think it might be.
They're close. There's the roll right across. Good result there for the Japanese. A couple of nervous moments there when they were concerned that the weight was a bit heavy for the shot, but worked out perfectly. Japan lies two.
Ja, lite, men ungefär som när du har spelat där.
Almost hit a corner behind that long yellow. So a short little roll here if Maria Prytz can just flip it over about one rock to the left. She might be able to generate the force.
All depends on that roll.
Sure does. Trying to roll this one about 1.5 stone widths to the right as we're looking at it in our overhead shot. Well, just dial it up and throw it in there. Nice shot.
Very nicely done from Maria Prytz. Couldn't really have played it much better than that.
I wondered if they could see anything on the intern side. Probably not. If they also only just a corner. There we go. There's a great look at it.
Yeah, there is a little bit sticking out there, isn't there?
Just enough to tempt them, and they're going to have a crack.
Of course they are.
Some danger here, though, because if she comes a little bit narrow, she could clip that Swedish stone into the rings and give up a steal of 2. So some risk here and also some reward. Opportunity to score 2, but also a risk of dropping 2.
You can see Sigfridsson looking at that behind her as well. I wonder what
Coach J.D. Lind.
They think.
Big shot in the game, potential 4-point swing here.
So last stone of this fifth end. What do we have in store this time from Satsuki? Not really been down this side all that much.
They're by the guard. What a fantastic shot. Satsuki Fujisawa does it again, and Japan scores 2.
Fantastic stuff from Team Japan. Nothing seems to be a problem for the skip in this game.
Look how close they come to the guard.
We've had closer. We've had closer.
Made it look like a yawning gap.
No
great
trouble at all.
shot. Perfect weight as well.
So Japan go into the break after 5 with a 4-2 lead. Japan 4, Sweden 2.
second end of play. Lots of red Japanese stones facing Maria Pritz. Has to hit the 8-foot to score her 1. Very nicely made, and Sweden goes out to a 1-0 lead. But then on the third end, last stone for Japanese skip Satsuki Fujisawa. After some fine shooting and open hit, executes it perfectly, and Japan goes in front 2-1. And then on the fifth end, almost perfectly buried Swedish stone, tiniest of corners available on the intern side, but Fujisawa bravely tries the come around bump, and her sweepers work it perfectly. Perfect weight and a huge 2 for Japan. So after 5, Japan 4, Sweden 2.
So let's check on what's happening elsewhere. This is the Italy-Germany game. 1-1 there. Last stone of this fifth end. Italy still without a win in this championship. Safely done with that one. And it gives them a 2-1 lead going into the break. As for Finland against Scotland, 3-1, as you can see there in the fifth. Eve Muirhead's last stone. And she's feeling good about it. They're not too worried.
But I'm not sure that they shouldn't be worried.
Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. You've got it, you've got it, you've got it. Keep going. Keep going. Touch it. Go, 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 go. Hard! Hard, 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 hard.
It comes up short. So a free draw for 3 instead. It's only 2.
So latest scores on sheet A, Italy 2, Germany 1, as we've just seen. Finland 3, Scotland 3 after 5. And Russia and Korea 4-1. And a happy Team Japan there. They have a 4-2 lead in our featured game.
Team Sweden setting up their game plan for the second half.
Here's the stats, Hans, after the first 5 ends. We know the score, obviously. And Sweden up in a couple of areas. And with the hits, Japan up in that one. No stolen points.
Yeah, Japan struggling a little bit with the draws, but overall 8 percentage points clear. And they've made some absolute pistols when they've needed them late in the ends. As I often say, the most important statistic is the scoreboard, and they're up 4-2.
Sometimes the stats don't reflect necessarily what you see, and there's no stat for making a shot at an absolutely crucial time. You should almost get a bonus, percentage for that.
I've often thought that too, Alison, and I've often thought there should be a degree of difficulty on the shots, but life is complicated enough for our curling statisticians, so we don't want to make it any more complicated for them.
You get it in other sports. A kind of interpretation degree of difficulty. It would be difficult to measure, I guess. So, Blair, back underway. 6th end. I hope you're enjoying the action. Live coverage from the Forward World Women's Curling Championship 2016. This is our featured game, and we've had a real treat in the first 5 ends. Some great curling. Fantastic shot making. And shots under pressure. So I'm sure more of the same to come. So much at stake in every single round robin game. So what will that Swedish team talk been about, Hans, at half-time there in the break?
Well, they're a very experienced team. They're down 2, but they'll be saying, we've got the hammer back. Just play for our 2, execute well, score our 2 here, get back level. And then it's anybody's game again.
It's all dependent also on what Team Japan does and how they react to it.
Well, once again, we see good execution from the Japanese. They threw that first stone into the rings. Sweden responded with the corner guard, and so Japan again throws the cover right on the center line. So, yeah, we've had a fantastic first 5 ends of curling, and once again, setting up for some mouth-watering possibilities here in end number 6.
And the camera's watching the action. Every angle's covered here. You won't miss a thing. Sneaks past there. And a little bump.
Very nice shot. Accomplishes 2 things, gets herself behind the guard, and she pushes the Japanese stone behind the tee line. Really good shot.
Yumi Suzuki, 83% of the tournament, just 75 for this game at second.
So, again, quite good angles. Japan responds with a little bump of their own. All of those 3 stones in the house afforded some protection by that center guard. Just agreeing on the weight that they want to throw at this shot. Looks like they want to just bump that Japanese stone back a foot or 2. And she need about back 8 foot weight.
So Maria Wennerström's numbers, 80% for this game, which is the one that really matters at this stage.
This one's really hanging out, has to curl a lot. Here it comes. But no, goes by that back stone. So instead of back 8 foot weight, that was closer to back line, almost hack. So I think that was just a matter of a little extra positive weight. Add the weight a little bit on arena ice and it will track for about half the distance. So again, opportunity for Team Japan to zip one around the pile and freeze on that stone of their own in the back 4 foot, or throw a center guard. Not quite sure what they're going to play here.
You know, with the way Japan are playing, Sweden really can't afford to be doing things like that. It's hard enough.
It is the guard. So, a real wall of granite accumulating in front of the house.
And a lot of them are red.
Yes, that yellow Swedish stone in the top of the 4 foot looking a bit lonely. So Margareta Sigfridsson says time to rearrange it a bit.
So after missing her first stone.
Ooh, right by everything. No action on either of those other two front stones. So a chance for Japan here to rebuild that defensive wall.
Mami Yoshida, the third. 70% for this game, but very good overall.
Bit concerned about the weight, so Skip Fujisawa comes out to join the party on the sweep. Trying to get this thing across the hog line. It must be all the way across that black line to be in play. Well across it. Nice sweep. Hard work.
Achieved the result.
That's why it's a team game, Allison. Sometimes you have to bail your teammates out with the brush.
Oh, I hear that skips become skips because they don't like sweeping.
Don't like it or can't.
A bit of both. I once asked that of Nicholas Adine. He said, "Why are you a skip?" He said, "Because I don't like sweeping and I'm not very good at it. So I've become the skip."
I'm sure the guys on his team might have answered that question in the other order. Usually the front-ended players are quite scathing of their skip sweeping ability.
They are, and they were, actually, on that occasion also.
So it's an embarrassment of riches for the Japanese. Shot stone in the back of the forefoot, guard on the center line. Swedish stone protecting the intern side. So now they're just going to try and take away the path to the button on the intern.
Oh, she's running back up again. Give a bit more help.
Wondering about the line as well. Don't want to disturb these guards while they're by. Ooh, just rubbed it. Redirects it a little bit. And it still keeps curling because that rotation stays positive.
So that was a pretty good result in the end.
Oh, it was. Could have been disastrous. They feathered that yellow guard. Watch here. Just barely touches that guard, but touches it so thin that the rotation keeps positive.
And Suzuki realized that very early and ran up to help.
And that's good awareness. So they were trying to cut off that path to the button, and they've done that.
Here's Christina Bertrup.
Momentary confusion. The Swedes, like most teams here, use the directional sweep system, and so Sigfridsson will generally call Pritz or Winnerström, and that time she said Maria, and there's two Marias on the ice.
Didn't help. Right, we're checking on what's happening elsewhere. It's the Italy-Germany game on sheet A, 6th end, 2-1 up for Italy at the moment.
Crucial game for the Germans. They're on 3 losses. Can't really afford another loss if they've got playoff aspirations.
Let's see what awaits them here.
German skip Daniela Drendel shooting against 2.
It's in sticks, but which one is it?
Yeah, the players are taking a look.
It is one for Germany. And it levels things up on sheet 8, 2 apiece.
So the center guard's been relocated. And we see the angles on those rocks, and this is quite interesting. We see those 2 yellow stones in front of the 8-foot and the 12-foot, angling that yellow one back straight on the back one now. So quite critical that the Japanese get some pretension.
Of course, the players have to keep a close eye, Hans, don't they, on the time?
Yes, they do.
It is a factor.
Teams have 38 minutes each to play the game. Thinking time. Clock management is important. Watching it carefully for the line. They're just trying to protect the right side of the rock, leaving him the in-turn side. Pretty good looking shot. Not sure that Preetz could rocket one between those two guards up the middle.
We're having a close look at that pathway.
Well, as I said earlier, the way that these stones are angled, normally you're pretty reluctant to raise the opponent's stone into the house, but this is one of those situations where it might be the best option. They could raise red, 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 yellow, red.
It could work out really well.
På nästa så borde du ha ändra en skjut eller ett drag.
But of course, all of those red stones belong to Japan, so if they hit at a strange angle or a funny angle and somehow expose that yellow stone from protection, could wind up very bad for them as well. But the way that they're angled, I can't see that they can do too much damage. Probably debating the weight that they want to throw. It'd be a nice result if they could just push their stone forward into shot position. And there we see the weight that Sigfridsson wants Preetz to play, just backline weight, which is, I think, exactly the right weight for this shot. Backline or hack. So she may not be raising the front stone. I think she might just be trying to come around that top stone with delicate weight, hit the outside of that stone in the top 12 foot, push red, red, and then yellow forward and spill her own yellow to the side of the sheet on the left-hand side. It's a tough, tough shot.
92% she has for this game, Maria Preetz. How's the angle?
Another well by the guard. No contact at all. She does get a piece of the shooter, though. Great shot. How do you like that? So now Sweden lies one. Looks to me like the Japanese are going to try and play the in-turn draw. Yoshida confirming that if we come all the way to this back, red one will be shot. Not sure about that, though. I think it would need to stop a little bit short of that red stone if they want to have a counter. And if they do come that deep, be an opportunity for a Swedish deuce.
91% Satsuki Fujisawa for this game. Only seen her missing one shot.
Have they got the weight? Great line, but have they got the weight?
They have.
Once again, that powerful Japanese sweeping, dragging that stone into the 4 foot. Question will be, can Maria Preetz see enough of that stone to bump it back? There we see Suzuki, Yoshida pounding it. Need full 4 foot for shot. And they drag it there. Piece of the button, great shot.
Still catching their breath there.
Well, as a front end player, you don't mind being exhausted as long as you're...
It's worked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there we see that stone is fully buried. But judging by where Margarita Sigfridsson is holding the brush, I would say that she thinks Maria Preetz can just play a little bump on this stone to get a really tough 2.
So same pathway. Last stone of this 6th end. Team Japan have asked the question, can Maria Prytz come up with the answer for her team?
Looks like plenty of weight. Sweeping it for the curl. But Noah goes right by the Japanese stone, so it's a huge steal of 1 for Japan.
She had to go for it. It was a difficult shot. But I wonder how significant that miss will be in terms of the outcome of this game after 6. Japan 5 now, Sweden 2. So in number 7, in our feature game between Japan and Sweden. And Hans, how significant was what happened at the end of the 6th, do you think?
Well, it was huge. Seesawed in the last 3 shots of the end. We saw Maria Prytz make a really tough come around and a little chip out, and looked like Sweden was going to get 1. But then Fujisawa made an incredible in-turn come around with some great sweeping from her teammates, and Prytz was heavy with her last. So now it's Japan up 3. You see them playing the percentages, throwing that first stone into the ring, so now they're thinking we can defend this to the finish. Four ends left to play. Sweden's got last rock here. But for Japan, Japan will be thinking we don't need to steal anymore. Quite happy to force.
Sweden are the ones that have to build the end.
Arigato, of course, is Japanese for thank you. That's a very courteous skip.
They've been lovely to deal with this week. Very courteous team.
There's Margareta Sigfridsson. Swedish skip, but she throws the lead stones. Sweden drawing on all of their guile and craft to try and generate something against this impressive young Japanese team. Fujisawa now looking to clear away that corner guard. It's almost like the Japanese, you know, it's just boring to just clear a guard. We should see if we can hit 2 or 3 other stones while we're at it.
Yeah, make it a bit more interesting.
So that red stone will be a bit of a bother for the Japanese. The Swedes will be able to potentially use that as a corner guard.
Sweden really do need something from this end.
Absolutely, another steal would be pretty close to fatal. So a longish guard. Japanese will look to clear it. Yumi Suzuki.
Away it goes.
So let's go back and take a look at how that 6th end turned out. Swedish stone shot in the top of the forefoot, trying to go past a forest of stones. And Satsuki Fujisawa, helped by her sweepers Yoshida and Suzuki, absolutely drills it. So now Maria Pritz, that stone's perfectly guarded, but she thinks she can throw back 8-foot weight, get to the nose of it, and maybe get 2, but she's heavy, and it goes by the Japanese stone, so it's a huge steal of 1.
Disappointment for Sweden there. Team Japan turn it on again.
Fujisawa looking at the angles. They could try to double clear those yellow stones, but there is the risk of a jam. I think they're just going to try and look to peel off the top stone. Tsunami Yoshida looking on. Oh, there we go. Triple take out again. It's quite helpful for Team Japan because now that niggling semi-corner guard is in the house. Japan wanting no part whatsoever of guard stones. Nope, I want this broom.
Which one are we?
No, I want that broom. Kristina Bertrup trying to manufacture something for Team Sweden. It's a high C above middle A. Rex on the front, but gets a bonus and jams on that other Japanese stone. So
you always know when she has that long call that she's worried.
That's usually a verbal equivalent for narrow.
Indeed. So on sheet B, let's catch up on that Finland-Scotland game again. 3-3 6 end last stone for Nakausta of Finland. Into a sea of stones there.
Oh, bad luck. Knocked her own through the forefoot, and Scotland steals one.
And that takes them into the lead, 4-3 after 6.
Looking for the inside roll there, but rolls away to the outside. And looks to me like Japan is still lying two, however. Swedish stone to the right of our picture may be a factor. Sweden certainly wants it to be a factor. Interesting play here. Looks like they're going to try a freeze or a small bump on that stone in the back of the 12-foot. Sigfridsson drawing on all her experience to try and manufacture something.
I certainly don't think she's made too many wrong calls. It's just been the execution. And some very difficult shots.
So they move that stone. I think they would have liked to just move it back a foot, but Sweden now lying first and third. Really do need that deuce in this end to stay in this game. So the challenge here for Japan is, where can you leave your stone so you don't set up the double takeout? Some smiles there from the Swedish back end. Doing everything we can, they're saying.
Yep. That's good, they can still smile.
A little uncertainty there on who's going to sweep. Trying to have it curl. Wanted to stay around, but it sticks right on the nose. That's not bad. But I would say that they're angled that there's at least a possibility to make the double and roll to the other side. Some point you have to try it. Is that time now? Yes, that time is now. So Maria Prytz try to remove both of these Japanese stones and roll her own shooter to the right-hand side, probably on about the 4-foot of the 8-foot. Looking to hit about 3/4 of that red stone. Pick off the inside of that red stone in the back 8. So we talked about that yellow Swedish stone on the edge of the 12 being a factor. It might be after this shot. Well, no double, just on the nose. And, well, have they set up a double for the Japanese?
She was straight to look at that for sure.
Just checking to see if that other stone might be counting. So that one over curled. Sweden had a great opportunity there to set up their deuce, but now can Japan make the double the other way? And that would generate a force. Wants to hit about half of that yellow stone on the inside.
100% on her 9 hits thus far, Satsuki Fujisawa.
One, two, perfect.
There she goes again.
Japan lies 2 and maybe 3, definitely 2. But regardless, once again, Japan's generated a force. Job done for the Japanese.
Another superb hit from the Japanese skip. Very nice indeed.
So Sweden was hopeful of generating a deuce to get back in this game, but they're going to have to settle for 1. And these ones are never routine. You think, okay, hit the 8-foot, but you're facing 2 and you're down 3.
Last stone then of this 7th end.
This is a must make for Team Sweden. Both sweepers working it. Looks pretty comfortable. Right on the lid. Nice shot by Maria Pritz. Sweden scores 1.
But it is just 1. Narrows the gap very, very slightly. But running out of ends. And after 7, Japan 5, Sweden 3. So we're into the 8th end now of our featured game at the Ford World Women's Curling Championship 2016. Japan against Sweden. And Sweden chasing the game, 2 shots behind. We've seen some great action here. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm Alison Walker, alongside me, Hans Fraunlob, bringing you live commentary from Swift Current in Canada. And this Japan team really have been the revelation of the week.
Attempting to tick here. And that is pretty close to perfect. Nice, indeed. Perfect.
Is that a Japanese term?
It is. One curling phrase is pretty close to universal, and that's nice shot.
Yep. There's a comparison of the 2 leads. Well, leads don't make a lot of hits, so the draws fairly similar in both players.
Japan electing the tick there because They've got the hammer here in the 8th end. They want to just score in the even ends. They're 2 points clear. So they're just trying to keep that forefoot open for themselves. They're at a stage where they don't really need a deuce. They just need to score. So we see Anna Sidorov's Russian team moving on to 5-2. They've won 9-1 convincingly over Korea. So they're definitely in the hunt for the playoffs.
Korea fallen by the wayside somewhat.
This one's a bit thicker. I'm not sure this one's actually going to stay around, so this might be a free guard zone violation. And it just touches the sideboards. Yes, no, maybe? Yes.
Yep. So it gets put back.
First 4 stones of the end. If they're between the hog line and the house, the stone can be moved, as we saw in the first shot by Yoshida. But they can't be removed out of play. If that happens, the stone gets replaced. It's called the free guard zone rule. Introduced into curling in the 1980s to try and generate more offense in the game. So there's a small break for Sweden, trying to fight their way back. So one way for Team Sweden to win this game. Tough call, but you could steal 8, steal 9, steal 10.
You have to rely on Japan really slipping up, as well as your own good play.
Well, you have to play sensationally, and you certainly need guards to do that. So they now have at least one guard. Good looking weight. Sweden lies 1. So, yeah, decision time now for the Japanese. Do you clear the front or do you play the shot?
And it might be a different decision from earlier in the game at this stage.
Well, that's right, Allison. At this point, you do play the scoreboard. Not much to pick between the 2 second players. Right around that 80% mark in shooting percentage. So here's Yumi Suzuki. Delicate shot here. Either or will do. Trying to remove the shot rock, but if she clips the guard, that's okay. By the guard. Very nice.
And they're very happy with that also.
Yoshida sweeping it for the finish. Just that last little bit of curl that they look for. Rolls it over to the wing and sticks around to Lai's first and second shot. This one looks a little heavier than the first attempt. I would say it's going to slide at least to the tee line, maybe back.
They're standing well off it.
Fujisawa trying to bring it as deep in the house as she can. Sticks around for shot, but it'll be wide open on the intern side. Fujisawa saying, stick with the plan. We just wanted to score in this end, so let's get rid of that center guard. Might be some action on the one on the side as well. Let's watch where this one goes. Just sneaks past it. But Allison, we talked earlier in the game about this Japanese team playing good percentage curling, and that was a great example right there.
Yeah, making good decisions, good calls.
Just by and straight into your living room. So now Christina Bertrup. Try to position a stone in a useful place for Team Sweden. Replaces that center guard. It's really high though. So I'm wondering if this time Fujisawa might just say, well, that's far enough out there that nobody's going to hide behind that. She does, in fact, elect to hit the shot rock this time. Little speed wobble there from Yoshida, but she recovers well. Suzuki indicating that the weight might be down a bit. Sweeps it, little outside roll. Japan lies 3. So now Sweden having to reach into the gambling playbook. They've got that long center guard, so long that it's out of shot. Here we see the thirds. Bertrup.
Bertrup well down.
Having a challenging game for her.
And such a key player, usually, for Team Sweden.
But a shot at redemption here. Trying to bury one behind that long center guard. That guard is so long, however, it's hard to see how it can actually stay behind it. And now we see it emerging on the intern side. Full 8 foot, that's about as well she could do weight-wise, but that guard is so long that it's really hard to hide behind it.
How useful really is that?
Well, I think that's why Fujisawa chose to ignore it rather than running it off. She knew that it would be really difficult to hide behind. Tsunami Yoshida on her intern. They're close. A little outside roll, and Japan's lying 4. So,
pressure is piling on.
Warning, Will Robinson. The challenge for Sweden is because that center guard is so long, even if she makes the inside hit and roll, Japan might still be able to get around that guard and remove it. But Sweden's getting to the point of the game where they have to gamble for everything. I'm not so sure I wouldn't try actually coming around that red stone in the 8 foot. On the outturn side, you could come around the center guard and the red guard into the 4 foot. That would leave a short raise, though, for the Japanese, so no really great options here for Sweden.
So what are they is that what they were thinking?
Well, no, I think they're just going to try and play an inside hit and roll on this red stone and just hide behind that center guard top 8 foot.
Sweden right up against it in this end, this 8th end, and they're 5-3 down.
Well, I don't think we've got any inside roll. In fact, it rolls to the outside. So Japan, I would say, is lying 2 at this point. So now now they're looking, should we just run the center guard now?
Percentages there.
Yeah, percentages, but a little bit of risk too, because there's catcher stones on either side of the sheet. So this is one of these situations where you could potentially make the shot for your opponent, and now they're looking at the angle, say, oh, well, if we clear it to the left, we could jam on the other one and spring it in. Jam it to the right, we could slam it on our own.
Yeah,
okay, Yoshida says, let's clear it, but throw a Hummer.
They're in a good position in terms of the scoreboard, in terms of the way this end is panning out.
Well, they are. They've played the whole end to try and have a shot at 1. That's really all they want to accomplish from the end. Now let's watch the angles. Where does this stone go? Safely to the boards and away from those yellow stones. So nice job there by Fujisawa. Thank you indeed. Bilingual thank yous. Got an arigato? Got a thank you?
Curling term.
Yeah, I think so. So now for Sweden. How do you generate a steal? No guards, no stones anywhere in the 8 foot.
So how do you?
Well,
What would you do?
have to freeze one of these stones, I think, or at least get their stone in front of one. I would say it's got to be the intern side and sit on top of that red stone on the right-hand side of our picture. Corner freeze on the 8 foot. That'd be my choice, but even if you make that shot, it's an open draw to the 8 foot for the 1.
Deep breaths from Maria Pritz before she releases this stone.
Well, the attempted freeze, there's no room for error on line or weight. If there is an error on line or weight, it's a chance for Japan to score 2 or 3. That's a very nice shot by Maria Pritz. That's about as well as you could throw it.
Yep, under a lot of pressure there.
So, Japanese are taking a look at, can they slam it out? I think that's taking unnecessary risk, to be honest. Bad things could happen. Great shot by Maria Pritz, though. Put it in a perfect spot.
All her experience counted there.
Well, they're going to take a crack at it. You'd hate to see something terrible happen. If she hits it a little bit thick with big weight, she could make an unintentional triple takeout on her own stones and give up a steal of 3, which would be disastrous. I think if this was me, I'd just be taking my one and be very happy about it.
Move on, yep.
But hold your breath, folks. Here we go.
That's not her style. See what happens. Last stone of 8th end, here we go. Oh my, oh my.
Once again, Satsuki Fujisawa makes it the incredibly difficult looks easy, and I think that's 2.
It was worth the effort. It was worth the decision. They're having a look.
And it's a big 2-point end for the Japanese. Wow, what a great shot by Fujisawa.
They're absolutely delighted.
Unbelievable.
Shots that others would not try.
What guts. This guy sure wouldn't try it. Look at this. She just picks it thin, moves it sideways, saves her shooter, and scores 2.
Fantastic.
Wow. Gutsy call.
And I think that was the killer blow for Sweden. Look at the score now after 8. Japan 7, Sweden 3. You know, Sweden didn't play a bad end there at all. A little bit of reflection momentarily for the Swedish skip as we watch this.
Well, it's a tough night at the office when you're playing against the human highlight reel, Allison. Just unbelievable shooting by Japanese skip Satsuki Fujisawa. She's made circus shot after circus shot all night long.
That shot was not in the manual, was it, really?
No. No, I thought it was an incredibly risky play, but she just made it look so easy. Feather picking the stone to score two. What a great shot. Brave shot. Would have been too brave for me. I wouldn't have tried it, but this Japanese team has got such confidence in their ability to control those stones precisely.
And they seem to have such variety of shots in their armory as well. They can see things and...
Well, they do. They're not one-trick ponies by any means. They can switch from offense to defense. They can play the delicate game. They can freeze, and then when they need to, they can step it up and throw the weight. So, very, very impressive.
And it's a situation throughout the whole team.
Well, that's right. Their technical fundamentals are all very sound. Their deliveries are all very similar. They communicate as one. We can see at the end of ends when they're discussing teams' shots as a foursome. It's almost like they're finishing each other's sentences.
Yep.
It's like they think
Yep.
as a unit.
Yep, they're all in agreement. Great understanding in the team. So if your team's Sweden, what are you thinking now?
Well, there's really only one way back here. That's score your deuce. And then you have to hope in the 10th end that if Japan attempts a couple of tick shots on guards, that they either push them into the free guard zone bumper and let you stack up some guards and somehow generate a steal of two. So that's really the only way that the Swedes have a chance of getting themselves to an extra end. But that's a tall order against a team that hits as well as this Japanese team.
And they've been consistent throughout. You know, some teams, it comes and goes, but they've been consistent throughout. They're not going to go off the boil now.
Yes. All of the players, their tournament percentages individually, shooting percentages, they're all in the 80s. So there's no real variance between any of the four players in terms of their shooting stats. But as we said, of all of the teams that we've seen here this week so far, this is the one to me that defines the word team. Playing as a true unit. So Sweden doing all they can. They've got their two corner guards. Japanese basically conceded them two corner guards by throwing rocks through. Here's Yumi Suzuki.
Well, they've been together 5 years or so, which is not really that long.
You know, they've melded very well into a team. Another perfect clear. So by throwing the rocks through and leaving Sweden the two corner guards, Japan again playing the percentages. That tells us that they're happy enough to give up two, but no way are they going to give up three.
Sweden are staring another defeat in the face.
That really is unbelievable. If you would have been handicapping the field at the beginning of the week and say Tuesday night, Sweden might be 1-6. Everybody would have looked at you like you're crazy.
Yep.
Like clockwork, 3 perfect peels in a row. Big smile there from Chinami Yoshida. So now Christina Bertrup. At some point you're going to have to try and make use of that corner guard, and now's the time. Good looking line. Sigfridsson comes out to help, trying to bury it. But I think regardless of where this stone goes, Japan is going to try and rip that corner guard.
Psychologically, for Sweden, it must be very, very hard at this stage, mentally.
Well, it really is. You've been struggling all week, and you're playing against a team that's just making unbelievable shots. So you're exactly right, Allison. It's quite mentally draining.
By contrast, Japan look as if they could play another 9-10 ends.
Yes, they're positively fizzing. So here's an A-B shot, surprising me a bit. Thought they might just go and rip the corner guard, but they are looking to play on the shot in the house. If they come narrow, they will clip the guard. Just make us look so easy.
And away it goes.
So what they accomplished by doing that, now Sweden, if they throw their stone around the corner guard, of course they won't be shot. I think it's something that I think they probably do have to try it. You could try and hit and roll to try and get your stone behind the corner. The freeze is another option. Or you could just draw around the corner yourself and hope to have a chance to make some kind of a double. It looks like they're electing the freeze. But this is definitely scrambling time now for Team Sweden. Doing anything they can to try and generate a 2.
And they're not really used to being in this kind of position very much. They're the ones who are normally seeing the game out. But that's a nice shot.
Small gap there. Probably enough of a gap and a decent angle for the Japanese to try and just blast it out. Fujisawa won't mind if she clips that red one of her own on the way by and doubles them off effectively. Ninth end of play. Sweden with the hammer, but they're trailing 7-3. On it immediately. Is this one going to overcurl? Slams it. Enough weight to push it out of the rings and actually roll it over behind the corner guard too. Well, when it's going your way, it's going your way. Saw Maria Preetz made a perfect corner freeze in the last end, and looks like she might have to try something similar again. Great sweeping by the Japanese player. Almost full on the nose, but enough weight to really spring them. And rolls half the rock behind the corner guard. So, 2 stones left to come for Sweden. So the first step of the mission accomplished for the Japanese. They know they're not going to drop 3. Still a chance for Sweden to score 2. So worst case scenario, Japan's going to have hammer in the 10th end up 2. And possibly better than that. Might overcurl slightly. So Japan remains shot. Be interesting to see how much of that Swedish second shot stone that the Japanese can see, or whether they'll just be content to draw the other side. Looks like that's the choice. No sense taking a risk of jamming the Swedish stone onto their own. But once again, this fearless Japanese team says, why not? Let's hit it.
Of course they did.
That corner guard is quite high, so should be a fair bit of room for the Japanese to get by. Just trying to hit this one on the nose and lie to. Just can't make a mistake wide.
So Suzuki Fuji has last stone at this end.
Sweeping it for the curl now. Now they're trying to hold it straight. Oh. And trying to push it out of the rings. Perfect.
Which they do. So
once again, fantastic execution.
Japan lies too. That is the upshot.
And that's pretty close to the ball game. Look at this. Sweeping it for the curl. Tight to the guard. Now they're wanting to try and hold the line straight, get that little inside roll and keep it behind the guard, and pushes it out. Great shot. So now Sweden, no choice but to draw. So we said about the only formula back for them was to score 2 and steal 2.
Same scenario for Maria Pritz. We've seen this in several ends. And Sweden have had the hammer, drawing for 1.
Stone comes to rest. Trying to sweep it back, almost, but hangs on. 1 point for Sweden.
But really, that does not make much of an impression into that Japanese lead. Japan very much in control in this game, and they really have been more or less from the start. After 9 now, Japan 7, Sweden 4. Welcome back to our live coverage at the Ford World Women's Curling Championship 2016. This has been quite a game. 10th end, and Sweden trailing against Japan. It really has been a very impressive performance by this young Japanese team.
Certainly has. Trying the tick shot now, trying to close this one out. Great shot there from Japanese lead Yurika Yoshida. Spins back, doesn't quite get to the boards, but that's not going to trouble them. They push that stone off the center line. Sweden facing the improbable task of having to steal 3 to force an extra end.
It can be done. It can be done, but not usually against a team in such good form as Japan.
Well, wherever you're joining us around the world for our live coverage, I know you've enjoyed this one. You've been treated to an amazing display of shooting. Some fantastic shots.
And you know, Sweden haven't played badly at all.
No.
But these guys have just been a step up on this occasion. And not afraid to make the shots.
Tick number 2. Lauren DePapp and Ian Craig, if you're watching back in New Zealand, please take notes. That's the way you play a tick shot.
Yeah, I'm sure there are players all around the world watching this and learning.
Tremendous execution. We wondered how this young Japanese team would bounce back after suffering a loss to Switzerland this afternoon, and boy, have they answered emphatically. No problem.
Let's catch our breath. And we'll be checking some other scores for you very shortly.
Suzuki with another perfect clear.
And as promised, the latest on the Finland-Scotland game. Scotland 5-4 up. 9th end. And Kausta with the last stone for Finland. Facing, well, what looks like a load of Scottish stones in there.
Tough shot.
Trying to take this into an extra end, and well, into the 10th end anyway.
Oh, nice shot. Does it stay? Oh, yeah, it does.
So, 5-all, going to the 10th and final end there.
Well, Una Kausta's Finnish team hanging tough. Eve Muirhead would have been heavily favored in coming into that game, but Finland is giving them a battle. Meanwhile, back here in our feature game, Japan's cruising. Up 3 with the hammer in the 10th. Lining up those stones, trying to play a double clear. Here's Yumi Suzuki. Pocket rocket.
Oh, she certainly has been in this game. And here's another one.
One. Oh, just past it.
We just expect her to get everything now, don't we?
Sure do. It's almost a surprise when they don't make some kind of a spectacular shot. Accomplishes the primary mission, though, clears the guard.
That was the plan.
Just past it. So, nothing in the house for Sweden, and they need 3 of them. They've got 4 to play. So if Japan can see this one out, they would move to 5-2, but here's a good-looking come-around from Team Sweden. They sure need it. Perfectly buried behind those 2 corner guards. That's a nice shot. So don't turn out the lights just yet.
Maybe just dim them a little.
Yeah, it's a faint pulse. Yoshida just trying to rip guards. Gradually clearing a path to that Swedish shot. Sweden doing all they can. using every guard that's available, and right now that's just that one corner guard. Trying to get another one behind it. Christina Bertrup. But the 8-foot is wide open for Japan. They've got the hammer. Sweeping it for the curl. Sets it on top. Sweden's line 2.
And one other game has just finished. Italy against Germany, and at last Italy have their first win in this championship. Final score, Italy 6, Germany 2, and no wonder they're absolutely delighted. Good win for them.
Forza Italia. So now that last bit of protection is cleared away by the Japanese. Sweden lies 2, but no longer any protection.
Remember, they need 3 yellow counters to level things up and take it to an extra end.
Fujisawa and Yoshida just trying to keep cool. Just know they have to execute 2 more shots and they'll come away the winners in this match.
So here's Maria Pritz.
It's a gutsy end from the Swedes. You wouldn't expect anything else. Fighting hard till the end. Placing the guard. So
protecting what she has.
Well, great shooting. I mean, the Swedes have played this end as well as you can play it. It's probably their best end of the evening. It's a shame that it's come so late in the night.
Yeah, they've just left themselves with what looks like just too much to do.
So Fujisawa can clear this center guard. She'll have no worse than an open hit for the win. First things first, however.
Yep, don't get too far ahead of yourself. 94%, virtually perfect game from Fujisawa.
Perfect. So now no choice for Team Sweden, but throw it in the rings. You need 3 to tie. No more hiding places for Maria Pritz. Margareta Sigfridsson knows it.
The tough game for the Swedes.
So it looks like she's going to draw to the right-hand side in front of the red stone. That'll leave Japan an open hit on the yellow rocks. So somehow fitting that a perfect shot ends a perfect end for Sweden. They've done everything they can, but it's probably not going to be enough. I've seen shots missed before, open hits, but...
Yep, Sweden line 3 there. The 3 shots that they need to take this to an extra end. But we have 1 more stone to come. Last stone of the 10th end from the Japanese skip. And very, very nice indeed from Suzuki Fujisawa. What a win for them. And really, they played the perfect game, didn't they, Hans?
Oh, absolutely deserving winners, Alison. It was a real treat. Fantastic execution all the way through the game. And that takes them to 5-2 and very much in the playoff hunt. Great, great game. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. That was a lot of fun. Fantastic shot making, lots of rocks in play. Great, great night of curling.
Japan 8, Sweden 4.
So in our feature match, Japan with a really impressive 8-4 victory over Sweden. So from the 6th end of this game, Japan versus Sweden, Satsuki Fujisawa, Sweden with one in the top forefoot. Fujisawa with some great sweeping by her front end, drills it to the edge of the button. So that leaves Maria Pritz a makeable but delicate downweight shot to try and score 2. Slightly positive though, and it stays outside, and Japan steals. Then in the 7th, Fujisawa with her shooting percentage in the 90s, and here's the reason why. Double takeout, giving Sweden nothing to work with, and once again Maria Pritz forced to try and make a draw against multiple counters. Sweden trying to manufacture some offense, but the best they can do is score 1. And then in the 8th end, looked like an easy draw for 1, but that wasn't enough for Satsuki Fujisawa. She thinks, I can pick off this backstone. Look at this. Fantastic pick, and she scores 2. And in the 10th end, the Japanese run Sweden out of rocks, and they run away from the Iplex. 8-4 winners. Tremendous display. The other results from our game, Italy were 6-2 winners over Sweden, or over Germany rather, picking up their first win. We just saw Scotland clinch their 6-5 victory over Finland, and Russia, big winners over Korea, 9-1. So where does this leave us after session 11? Canada, Scotland, Switzerland, all 6-1. Japan, Russia, 5-2. Game back to Denmark at 3-4. Germany, United States also on 3-4. Korea, Finland, Italy, Sweden rounding out the standings. What a day's play.
Congratulations, what a fantastic win. How do you feel?
いい勝ちでした。どう思いますか？
今の試合は大きなミスもなくチームコミュニケーションもよくできていた試合だったのですごく今までの試合の中でもすごくいい試合だったなと思います。
We had no big misses. The communication was good, and really, as a team, we probably played our best together.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Why did the team play so well together?
結局本当にそう思いました。どうして今回のチームワークがそんなに素晴らしかった？
その1個前の試合がコミュニケーションが少し少なくなったりとか アイスに対する読みがちょっと甘かったりとか、そういうところが少なかったので、それをやろうっていうふうに試合の前にみんなで話し合ったので、それが良かったんじゃないかなと思います。
In the earlier game today, where our communication just wasn't adequate, we just weren't on, and we had a little more trouble reading the ice. So this time we really focused on that and pulled it together, and it worked out.
But when you play a team like Sweden, you expect them to come back at you, and it is a great victory over Sweden.
本当にスウェーデンのようなチームの場合は結構強いで、この勝ちはと想像できましたか？
やっぱりオリンピックの銀メダリストのチームだったり、世界選手権でも毎回上位に入っているチームとこうやっていいゲームができて、なおかつ勝てたことはすごく嬉しいです。
So playing against the Olympic silver medalist and team that's consistently in the top at the Worlds, we're just really happy to have had such a game with them.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Suki Fujisawa, great win for them against Sweden. That's it from us. Hope you've enjoyed watching. More live coverage tomorrow. Until then, from me, Alison Walker, and from Hans Fernlog. Bye for now.